Hello and welcome to the Seahawkers podcast. I'm your host, Brandon Schultz, and today I am joined by my good buddy, Clinton Bonner. Clinton, it is Wednesday when this releases. It is going to be the start of Seahawks training camp. We did it, man. We made it through the offseason.
You know how like the we're so back, and how that gets like overused a lot now. Like it's sometimes in a funny way, right? This is actually it, Brandon. We are actually back through all the tumult, through all the change. I mean, brand new quarterback, brand new OC, lots of turnover. I am excited, dude. We are like not even that far away, Brandon, from like opening day 9/5, 9/7, right around there, September 7 or so. It is creeping fast, Brandon. I'm fired up, dude.
Yeah, it's going to be fun to hear all the stories coming out through training camp. It is a reminder, though, that a lot of times through training camp, it takes sometimes there's some bad news stories that come out of it. Like I feel like it's hope, cross your fingers that nobody really big gets injured, because it's almost assuredly somebody will get injured. And that's the part of this time of year that I dread, but it balances out also the excitement for when the season's starting, like the actual regular season.
Yeah. Let's to the positive. We're going to be starting training camp with a fullback, Brandon, with a fullback and the intent to run the football. So let's take the positive side.
And a defense that we're very excited about.
Oh Lord. Yeah, man. I just got done with the Barbershop podcast. I hope folks get a chance to go check that out. Really good dudes. And I was just making the case why this is a clear top 10 defense. And that was a lot of fun because I'm sitting there with a Ravens fan and a Steelers fan, and they have me on to talk Seahawks. And they don't really, they know the team surface level, but they don't really pay attention to the team. And as I'm going through the line, I could see them being like, oh yeah, this is a really talented line. And then I talk about the DBs, and I'm like, guys, this is a talented group front to back on defense. With McDonald year 2, it's going to be a lot of fun this season, man. There's a legitimate chance, Brandon, that this could be like a top 5 defense in the NFL, which would be, how fun would that be?
I remember how fun it used to be.
Yeah.
and I would like to go back to that, please. Yes. Yeah. So yes, sign me up.
Yeah. Let's go back in time, right? That'll be a lot of fun. So we got some fun today too, Brandon. So why don't you tell the good folks about what topic wise, what we're going to canvas today?
Oh, we got some news, mostly news and a little bit of news. I know you threw out a survey to folks, so we're going to hit on that a little bit. What did I miss?
Well, so news, and we'll get through all that, the most modern Seahawks news, but also that just some salary cap because of some of that news has become available, and we're going to just talk about where we think our Seahawks should potentially spend that money. If they do intend to spend it, what are maybe some obvious areas? What are some areas where maybe folks aren't thinking about quite yet that could be? And then maybe a couple of far-fetched ones that probably won't happen. But since we don't have real football just yet, we could put on our fantasy caps and think about some really cool scenarios that maybe happen, Brandon. How's that?
That was nice. That was much better. I had that all lumped into the news category, but I appreciate how you expanded on it.
All good. And of course, we want to remind folks, if you're watching on YouTube, then you see the Julian Love poster there saying we'd love you to subscribe. And that's the truth. YouTube.com/Seahawkers podcast. Give the likes, give the thumbs up, drop the comments. Look, we are swimming upstream versus that YouTube algorithm sometimes, Brandon. I'm like, sometimes it loves us. Sometimes it's like, do you know we exist? So what plea can you make to the good people to at least lend that thumb?
Yeah, giving a little thumbs up, dropping a comment, sharing with a friend. If you say, hey, friend, there's a new episode of the Seahawkers podcast. Did you catch it on YouTube? Send them over the link, and I'm sure that must help somehow too.
It's got to help. It's got at least the juju, at least the good juju, at least the Hawkra, more importantly, to raise the 12s. It's got to help. It's got to do that. So speaking of help, Brandon, we are going to do a little news and notes. So if you're watching on YouTube, we got some fun graphics. Brandon, I decided to put the most important Seahawks news first and foremost. Take it away, buddy. What's the big news out there?
Oh, we've got former Seahawks watching where former Seahawks are landing with their new teams. Maybe the biggest name player that everyone would know, Jamal Adams, has a new team, and he's going to the Las Vegas Raiders and reuniting with Pete Carroll.
Very good for him. This is a very cool, good for him story. When Jamal was healthy, and that's really it. When he was healthy, he was an effective player, and obviously Pete loves him. It's going to be interesting. I don't know what he's going to bring to that team. This is more just like a, hey, good luck. I'd say the cool part about this, or the extension of this, Brandon, is I intend to watch quite a bit of Raiders football this year because I still like Geno Smith. I love Pete Carroll, and I'm intrigued by this football team. So this is just another piece out there that goes, that's interesting.
Another closet Raiders fan in the pile there. And I don't know if you heard this or not, but according to Jordan Schultz, Jamal Adams in the best shape of his life.
Yeah, best shape for the life season, right? So probably the same for Trey Flowers, who, if you're watching, you see that on screen as well.
Oh, good. That's not Devin Witherspoon, number 21.
Yeah, that's
I was hoping that was him going to the Bears.
That is not Devin going to the Bears. It is former corner Trey Flowers, who ended up having some pretty good years. Certainly, I'd say more well-rounded years with the Bengals, and now an NFL journeyman, making his way over to EJ Snyder's Chicago Bears. So EJ, he's your problem now. Good luck, bud.
I guess the big question is whether he'll play at safety, where I think he had more success with the Bengals, or back to corner, where he had moderate levels of success as a member of the Seahawks. But
yeah, hit and miss.
But we'll let EJ fill us in on that, because I don't need to watch any Bears football this year.
No, neither do I. I agree that team might be a little hot, a little overrated potentially. We shall see. They infused talent. They probably fixed their line. They definitely fixed their OC.
Yeah, they fixed their coach.
They fixed their coach. They fixed a lot of things. They still got to prove it to me. So, all right, that's the not so important news. Now I'd say medium-sized Seahawks news. Brandon, where do you want to take it?
Zy Alexander. If you're a Seahawks fan, did you know Zy Alexander was a member of our Seahawks? If the answer to that question is no, then he's not currently a member anymore because he's gone.
Yeah, so he gets cut. It was like a medical designation type cut. So he's not going to get a chance to start training camp. This was a dude, Zy Alexander, for those, because he plays down in LSU, so he gets lots of just national coverage. He had kind of high hopes. People were like, "Oh, really, darn good corners as a cornerback. Darn good corner, has a legit shot." But it's not going to be with Seattle, so we wish him the best. There is the other player that caught a lot of attention in the rookie minicamp, Isis Waxer. I think it's Waxer or Waxter from Villanova, who apparently was more of a standout than even Alexander was in the rookie camps and stuff like that. So as we open rookie camp, a name to keep an eye on is Isis Waxer. And then so then we ditch an Alexander.
I think we did talk a little bit about Alexander, I think, with EJ, because I think he was on their kind of draft watch list, and when he went undrafted, there was a little bit of surprise that he went undrafted, but obviously with a medical issue, that's probably why he went undrafted. And so a tough break for him. But yes, we acquire another Alexander.
Exactly. And this time we get one who spells Cam exactly correct. So we got Kam Alexander. He's from Oregon, and this is another DB. So kind of a DB for DB swap. We shall see. I always kind of find it intriguing when they do bring in, especially the early days of Pete Carroll, which I know we're getting pretty far removed from. But I really liked back then when they'd be like, "Oh, this guy played at USC. Oh, this guy played at Washington State. Oh, this guy played at Oregon." And Pete just had this like magic West Coast elixir going for a little bit there. So a local dude, I'm sure there's some fans listening that are Ducks fans that could speak a little bit more, boldly about Cam Alexander. I don't know him too much, but I like both his names. So that's a bonus. Yeah.
And I have to imagine that you like Justin Rogers' arms, because they are maybe not quite thigh arms level, but they're getting close enough. Like he's 6'2", 350 pounds. We've been talking all the offseason about how we need a nose tackle. They go out and they get a guy who plays nose tackle, who was on the Cowboys and then with the Bengals, former 7th round pick. So, we're just hoping that he grows into the position here now. And what is it, his third year?
I think it's second year. I could be wrong. It might be third. I know he's a 7th round pick. I know that part was correct for sure. And hey, beefy boy up the middle. Maybe it's a bit of a flyer. We don't know how this will work out. Maybe he ends up being kind of a backup to Hankins, and we have 2 ex-Cowboys up the middle there. Whatever compilation, Brandon, gets us to Byron Murphy playing less nose and 1 tech and actually playing more 3 tech, I'm in favor of. So if this is what gets it there or bolsters it in some way, then I'm a big huzzah and just hope for the best. But this is the kind of stuff that, like, as we enter camp and then we get into preseason, well, those are names I want to watch for. Like, is Justin Rogers doing anything? Is he out there, just plugging the middle up in preseason? Can he get enough reps? And if so, can that impact what I think are obviously higher level players like Byron Murphy, for instance? So that's where my mind goes when I see the beef up the middle.
But yes, we hope going into his second year, as I confirm that it just takes him some development being one of those late round guys, and he can help fill up that beef in the middle
beef. All right. So speaking of some kind of a beefy boy, he's on his way out the door, unfortunately.
Beefy contract.
Yeah, beefy contract. Right. Beefy contract for sure. And we're going to talk a little bit about Noah Fant. We're going to spend a little bit of time on the ramifications for the other tight ends. And then we'll spend the rest of the episode discussing what can we do with this money? Are there certain things that the Seahawks should look at with this money? So Brandon, $8.91 million. Now I would say you, me, Adam, others on the Seahawkers podcast, we might have been a little ahead of the curve when it comes to Noah Fant being on this 2025 football team, because I think we had an opinion back in, February or March about this.
Well, I think, you probably go back a couple of years and the opinion of not just this show, but other shows too. Like, we were waiting to see the production from Noah Fant that came along with his salary, his potential. He was part of the Russell Wilson trade. So I think it had been 3 years of him being on the Seahawks, then getting a contract to where we're like, okay, we kind of want to see it. And never really got to the level that I think matched up with the dollar amount next to his name.
Well said. And it's one of those that like big slot, super athletic tight end that's become popular, and Buffalo's going through it right now with Dalton Kincaid. Will he be the dude? I mean, if you look at Noah Fant's combine numbers, right, he shot up to a 1st round projection because, yes, he was very good in college, but he was fantastic in his underwear. And therefore, as an athlete and as a big slot, everybody gets excited about this big slot, but he's not faster and more agile than a wide receiver, and he's not a good inline blocker. So you have a tweener, you're paying a lot of money. And in a Kubiak system where you kind of need defined tight ends, to me, the writing was on the wall. I'm like, this tweener does not fit. This doesn't fit. Meanwhile, AJ Barner absolutely shows me that he's kind of like a Zach Miller style. Like, that dude's an actual two-way guy. They bring in Salbert inline. And then, of course, we have the draft where, I don't know, maybe we just go get younger, cheaper Noah Fant. What do you think about Arroyo?
I think that's at least the hope and the projection. And that may be a good signal, especially for you, Clinton, who is maybe a little bit unsure about Arroyo at the time of the draft. And he has some health concerns that go along with him, right? And so the idea that they could go ahead and move on from Noah Fant when they did, like, have they seen enough of Elijah Arroyo now through minicamp and training camp, or going into training camp, that they can say, okay, well, we've seen enough here. We don't want to see Noah Fant get hurt in training camp, and then we have this large salary that he can't do anything with.
Yeah, saddled with the injury, whatever designation, which you can't release him from that, right? You kind of get shackled. So That whole part is intriguing. And to remind the listeners, because you're mentioning like I still don't, and I didn't live like our second round. I'm not very high on Imanwari as a safety at this point. I have my reasons. You can go back, and I'm not going to go into them now. I hope he's friggin' awesome. There were other dudes I preferred at safety. And from tight ends, for me, Arroyo was low because I didn't think he had the moves like within the 5 to 10 yard space. It's like, oh, he's wide open. Cam Ward finds it for 70 bazillion yards and he runs really fast in a straight line. But I didn't see like immediate separation in the 3 to 5 yards, which in the NFL, when things are way more condensed and where do you need tight ends to be really effective, the red zone and the purple, fuchsia zone. I don't think he's there yet. So that's why I have my reservations with Arroyo. But we put this poll out there, and really I should have put it out earlier in the day because I knew we were doing this episode. So shame on me. It didn't give enough time to bake, and we'll go back and check.
Are you saying that because you don't like the results? Like
no,
you just needed more votes for it to work out the way you wanted?
We'll see how it goes. And those listening on the audio, the poll that was showing on youtube.com/Seahawkers podcast is, now that Fant is gone, who are you more excited for? So maybe it's also the way it's phrased, right? Who are you more excited for? AJ Barner, we called it AJ all day, or go, Elijah Arroyo. And Brandon, you alluded to it, but as of right now, at least, who's winning this poll?
It does look like Elijah Arroyo is winning. It's way small for me on screen to know for sure, but I think I do recognize the AJ Barner number up top.
Yeah, that's AJ up top. And I just refreshed back on YouTube. So, about a dozen more votes since I copy pasted this into the presentation you're seeing. Arroyo's actually gaining ground. It's almost 60% are more in the Arroyo. Again, excitement might be the word there that people are gravitating toward.
Here's why I think that it lines out well with kind of my line of thinking. Which one am I more excited about?
AJ Barner.
I mean, I know what we have. At least I have a better idea of what we have with AJ Barner. But Arroyo could be anything. He could even be AJ Barner.
It could be a boat, right? So no, well said. I guess my affinity for, call it old school, I just call it two-way tight ends, is really, really strong. It's become one of like my favorite positions in the NFL, like the Zach Miller types, certainly George Kittle, not to praise 49ers, but Kittle is awesome. And I think we saw some stuff with AJ last year, Brandon. I'm like, oh man, this guy's better at all the things that I thought he was individually. He's a better inline blocker. He moves laterally better than I thought he did. He's got better hands than I thought he did. And he's like really quite smooth out as a wide receiver. And he was really good in the red zone. So if he just ends up like, say, doubling his opportunities because it's not a crowded house any longer, and Kubiak is just going to get more 12 and 13 personnel out there, so that's more opportunity, that's where my vote still goes. I'm like, wow, I think we might have found something in the fourth round with AJ Barner that NFL teams struggle to find, which we have struggled to find probably since the Zach Miller era.
Yeah, I think he kind of fits into that Will Dissly mode, especially pre-injury.
Young Will.
Yeah. Sure. And so it's exciting to look at that part of it as him being kind of that well-rounded tight end. I think the excitement level though with Arroyo is that, does he have that talent when you look at speed and more of a big playmaking ability? I think with that speed, that's what your expectation is as a fan, at least, that he has that capability, which I don't think AJ Barner is going to suddenly have like 4.3 speed.
No, he won't. That's all things are true there. And again, that's my fear, that Arroyo could fall into that tweener category in the NFL and just not be good enough, not special enough on any one of those things. And this is also I hope I'm wrong. I hope I'm wrong. And they're both awesome tight ends. And Saubert is in there with 13 personnel and Robbie Oots out there to make that whatever that is. And Jalen Milrow, and we're converting on every fourth down because
don't forget Brady Russell's name. Just because he moved from TE to FB doesn't mean he can't still do TE things.
I like Brady Russell. So good call out. I hope he has a good camp. I think he's going to need it. I think that house got crowded pretty quickly, but this move helps Brady Russell out too, who is a gracious dude. Got to meet him and his wife, his new wife. Not that he's divorced and has a new wife, but they had just gotten married when we were out at Emerald City Casino for the draft. So that was a lot of fun. Okay. So Brandon, that's what we got there so far. Now, the rest of the time, I thought we could talk about, we just got $9 million back in the bank. Seattle.
You and I individually.
Yeah, yes. We did. Wow. That's not bad. It's like we like to thank our Ryan 911, our executive producer, for that $9 million super chat. We appreciate that. Thanks, Ryan. And we already have some money. We didn't spend it all yet. Seattle's got some cap space, and there's a couple of things that Seattle could do. So we're going to look at a couple of categories. One of them being, are there some players we could look at extending? Are there some players we could look at making a trade for? And are there a player or two out there that intrigues us that maybe we can go sign that bolsters the team in some way in the next 40 days before playing the stupid 49ers? So Brandon, of those categories, dealer's choice, where do you want to go first?
I think I would go to current Seahawks that I would go ahead and extend now that we have maybe a little bit of buffer. And I actually think with this player, you probably, I don't know how much salary cap you necessarily need just based on how they do a lot of these new deals. It seems like they push the money off a little bit when they have 1 year left under contract, where they can kind of put a lot of that new money under the current one and then extend out the signing bonus. So I don't even know if this would take all that much in the way of salary cap, but extending Boye Mafe would be, I think, where I would want to go with if we're looking at cap space, if we're looking at players that I would want to see with the team long term. And the big reason why is you look at, the TJ Watt new contract. You look at what Micah Parsons could get. You look at some of the other edge rushers out there who are wanting big deals, and you say, I kind of want to get ahead of that a little bit, and doing that now rather than after the season with a guy like Mafe, I think is the time to do it, because you see the longer that you wait with a lot of these positions, the more money it's going to cost you. And edge is one of those spots. Now, I'm not advocating for like TJ Watt type money for Mafe, but I think you can get him at a pretty reasonable level, considering what his past production was. And hey, maybe he grows into one of those types of players.
Yeah. So you might be getting a bit of like an Uchenna Nwosu style first contract, right? When he came over from the Chargers, and Seattle was kind of getting him on the come up. And then he kind of blossomed while he was here and started getting a bit more sacks and just became an all around even better edge before the injury started to plague Nwosu. So it's probably still a $20 million man, but it's like, oh wow, that sounds like a lot. Yeah, TJ
Watt, like half.
Exactly.
Half
it's like yeah, exactly. I mean,
but I'd rather have two Boye Mafes or one TJ Watt.
Well, I mean, just give me the TJ Watt. We'll figure it out. But with that though, I'm also pro if we do this now. You're right, because we could actually probably get some other cap savings this year, tuck it under, maybe make some other moves that we other dudes who also want to resign or sign or trade for. But I think Mafe has now proven 2 years in a row that he's at least a good NFL edge. I think he's quite good against the run. He has his, 8 sacks, 6 sacks. He's kind of in that range. Can he break out? Can he get last year? I thought for sure after 2 seasons ago being at 8, I'm like, oh man, he's going to take that 3rd year leap. He's going to get double digits, basically count it, put it in the bank. It's also just not the way sacks in the NFL work, unless you're TJ Watt, right? Or Hendrickson, those, or the best of the best, the elite guys that have a shot at going to the Hall of Fame, and in Watt's case, he'll be a Hall of Famer. But yeah, $20 million for Mafe, if you can kind of get ahead of it and bet on him. And then maybe he does crank out a 10.5 sack or 11 sack season. And dudes like that next year are getting $32 million and we're sitting pretty. So I kind of like that idea too, Brandon. And by the way, is that an area you feel sounds like, yeah, but if he's 20 million, 22 million, feel okay for Mafe's production at that level?
Yeah, there definitely is a number to where you go, okay, but you still have another year of Derek Hall, right? Or
Yeah.
can you make a deal for one of these guys like Trey Hendrickson, who's out there, and that would then, gosh, the downside of going with a guy like Trey Hendrickson is the age part. Like I like the idea of a long-term Boye Mafe versus maybe 1 or 2 years with Hendrickson. Who knows?
Well, Hendrickson's 30, so not dead yet, right? And he's led the league in the last couple of years, right? So he's been very consistent, not on a amazing Bengals line. It's not like he's sitting there where it's like, oh wow, I've got Byron Murphy and Leo just destroying the middle of the field, and I've got someone like Hall on the other side of me. And yet Hendrickson's just been, 18.5 sacks, et cetera, et cetera. Right? He's been really, really good. But he's going to cost probably close to now what TJ Watt and what Garrett got. Garrett gets 40, Watt gets 41. I don't think it's like, hey, next man up, you're going to get 42, because I just don't think the NFL, Garrett and Watt are like, these guys are going to the Hall of Fame.
Mhm.
Hendrickson, if he keeps doing this for 3 more years, maybe he has a shot 5 more years, right? But that's pushing it because he is already 30 years old. He's very good. He's extremely good. He's not the best run defender. He's an okay run defender. It's not like a minus, but he's like, okay, not what you pay the guy for. You pay him to get after the quarterback and disrupt, and then he gets home. So that's the thing. It's like, would you want to extend Mafe and then maybe have, let's say, 15 to 17 million more dollars for something else? Or do you want one Trey Hendrickson where you got to make a trade, give up capital, and pony up probably like $38 million a year? Tough. It's very attractive for 2025 with Mike McDonald, though, Brandon. That would be kind of cool.
Hey, I'm all about adding even more talent to a talented defensive line. And part of this that might play into it is how things go with Uchenna Nwosu.
Yes.
And he's starting the training camp period on PUP. That doesn't mean that he won't come off it in a couple weeks. It just means that he is not ready to go day one. And so whether or not there's obviously some concern there because you want all your guys to be healthy. And there's that concern of, is he going to be able to maintain health throughout the year? So if say he gets healthy and you're doing cutthroat GM things like GMs try and do sometimes, okay, Chenna, you're healthy now. You're off the PUP, but now we're going to release you because we're going to save that money that's against the cap. And, oh, by the way, we have a deal in place where we can get Trey Hendrickson. Like, that would excite me as a fan. It's a bummer for Nwosu because I'm a fan of his, but if you can make that type of move and add a guy who's hit the 17.5 sack mark for the past 2 years, come in.
Yeah, you do it. You do it in a heartbeat, right? And great points about Chenna. We don't know my problem, not the problem. My problem is it's like fool me once, fool me twice. Like both times where he got hurt, I was just like, okay, he's gonna come back and he's Chenna Nwosu. He's gonna come back and just be him again. And he wasn't. And last year, it's like it felt like he kind of maybe he's feeling the heat, so he kind of rushes back because he doesn't want a whole season to be a wash again. But he just looks to me like he lost a significant step. Now, can he get it back? Maybe, but after multiple knee dings and injuries and age, it is tough to get that level of speed back. And there were just a couple of times last year where I was like, oh, he looks slow. It's just like not just like a little bit slow or like, oh, Bobby lost a step, but he's still Bobby. It was like, oh, we can't put him on the field. He's not really playable towards the end of the year. He was exposed. And it's not a shock to me that all these months later, now he's on the pup. Now they've changed the pup dramatically, so he can come off at any time. But I personally don't think Chenna is very long for this team. Same feeling I had about Fant, but even going back several years, whatever it might be at this point, a year or two before Doug Baldwin was retired very, very early, I had a sense at the end of a year, I was like, I think he's done pretty soon. And he was like 29. And I was like, I just don't think he's long for the NFL. I think he's going to bolt early. Sure enough, one more season goes by, like a season and 2 games, and he retires. Those
Clinton Bonner senses, those are strong.
I just sense that Uchenna might be unfortunately on the downside. Again, this is a please prove me wrong, but if we can,
the counter to that, the dude's only 28. So I think that
I would love to be wildly wrong, Brandon. But it's tough to get all your speed back if you've had multiple injuries like this, right? So, but hey, that's the Chenna part. I do have another Seahawk, Brandon, that I would personally, I like the Mafe extension. And to say how Adam would say it, I think I might love this extension, although it comes with a bit more risk. Do you know where I'd like to lay my chips?
Kenneth Walker.
It's not Ken Walker, but that'd be intriguing. Look, I just want Kenneth Walker. What I want from Kenneth Walker is, just to say it quickly, is I want Kenneth Walker to put up a, F you pay me season. That would be, because that means a lot of good happened for our Seahawks.
If you could get Ken Walker for Chuba Hubbard money, by paying him now versus waiting until after the FU season and a contract year.
Right. And then he's going to be, now look, you make beautiful points, and I like Chuba Hubbard. Nice back. He's done great. He really has done great for himself. But if you could, and you're just betting on the talent and him staying healthy and a better offensive line, you've convinced me. I would do it. Ken Walker he's freaking awesome. Not the dude I would lay the chips on, though. Talking about injuries, basically 2 years in a row, but I'm okay. I think if you take the gamble on Abe Lucas now, I think it's a very worthy gamble, because I think you can get Lucas on an extension for probably half the cost right now, like in the next, couple of weeks before the season starts. I think you can probably get him at half the cost versus, let's just say he has a healthy plus year, healthy above average right tackle year in his 4th year. I think he'll hit the market and at right tackle, he's going to be a $30-something million dude, right?
Not per year.
Well, what do the top right guards make this year? Some guards are making like 25 million.
What is the tackle market right now? So, I mean, the other side to this, and I talked about Ken Walker, but I think Abe might be in this boat too. I would think that the belief that they have in themselves is more along the lines like, hey, I'm going to go out and show everybody, and I'm going to wait because, I don't have to sign a deal until I'm ready to sign a deal.
Okay. Yes. All things are true there, but you know what millionaires do with money when they get it sooner than later?
Invest it.
Yeah, they make money. they take the money and they invest it, and they make lots of money with money. Yeah. That's how it works. So, so Aaron Banks got nearly 20. These are guards. Aaron Banks got nearly 20 million this year.
Okay. Trey Smith, the top end for right tackle is 28 million per year.
20. Okay. All right. So I'm saying, I think he'd be, if he had a plus year and stayed healthy, I think he'd be, and the cap is going to increase, and they're going to chase that dragon there. Okay. It's a $26 million contract for Abe versus maybe he'll take 15. Maybe he'll take 15 with a nice guarantee and just set himself up. He's got a rookie contract, a kid from Washington. And instead now he's a multi-millionaire. He could do whatever he wants with that money. I don't know. It'd be very difficult to walk away from. And I think he might take it. But more importantly, I
mean,
think it's
15 still puts you in probably the bottom of the top 10.
Yeah. Okay, cool.
So I could see how that would be appealing.
Yeah, that's pretty cool. I mean, maybe it's a little too hot. Maybe they get away with a little less and like shuffle the guarantees. But in general, I guess the more important for the debate is, what do you think about the risk there? And do you think it's worth? Would you take that kind of gamble on Abe? Is the question.
I think the way he was able to come back, the fact that he was able to finish off the season and not have any issues, that was really enough for me to feel a little more comfortable going into the season. So I don't really feel a big injury, like an added injury risk with Abe, just based off of the way he was able to prove himself through the end of last season. So, yeah, I really don't have a lot of concern there with his knee. So, but again, I'm not a doctor for the Seahawks.
Oh, I mean, hey, don't stop believing, Brandon. You don't give up yet. So I guess the other piece of it would be, would you rather extend Mafe around the prices we're talking about? Both of them are like good deals. So let's say they all work out. Would you rather extend Mafe or rather extend Abe?
Yeah, Mafe's the safe one to me.
Okay.
And so, at a position to where I think waiting, if Mafe has a 12-13 sack season, then it's probably that the amount that it would jump based on the better season, I think it goes up higher with Mafe.
Yeah, he does pitch into the potentially mid 30s at that point, like 33 if he nets 13 sacks this year, right? So, okay, I'd still take Abe because I think the importance of the position, and I think Abe might be my favorite Seahawk at this, besides Julian Love, who is my favorite Seahawk. But okay, cool. That's
John
fun.
Schneider, pay somebody on the offensive line, get real.
Look, he's turned over a leaf, baby. We've seen it, right? So, cool. All right. So those are the Seahawks, and good job bringing Ken Walker. Any other Seahawks come to mind, or any other?
I mean, I'd like to make another offensive lineman a Seahawk. I know that we did draft a guy to start at left guard. Yeah. I know that we've got your UConn dude, Christian. He's pencil him in as the starter, and I think it makes a lot of sense for Haynes to be the starter too, going to a more outside zone type system, kind of what he played in college.
Just to jump in right quick with Haynes there, the word on the street, and this was from Brady Henderson and others, was that the standout from minicamp was Bradford. That Bradford was the dude who came back in like clearly much better shape, and the footwork was better, and he was showing that he might have the inside edge to be the starting right guard. I guess don't discount Bradford. He's still in it.
It's going to be a battle to watch, but I think that Haynes' skill set is going to line up better.
I agree.
And so I'm that's who I'm. I guess if I'm more hopeful that someone's going to win the job, sorry, Anthony. I mean, you're a good dude, but I'm more hopeful that the guy who fits into the system better will be the guy who wins the job.
Yeah. So how about the other guys that are still out there? Is there an NFL veteran that you're like, yeah, this guy would do, just on the line?
No.
No. Is Scherf still available? I think he's still out there.
I think so. I'm more, I guess if they haven't signed by now, I guess what I would be watching is who then stands out among other teams in training camp to where a team with a veteran that's kind of on the edge that they're willing to move on from them.
Yeah.
Then I don't know. For a lot of these guys that are still out there, there's probably a reason. Like a lot of teams need offensive linemen. And if there's not signed yet, it's probably that either they're dealing with injuries still and trying to get healthy, or they're not good anymore.
Yeah, they got a bad case of the old, right? So, all right. So then, how about some other flipping it back to the defensive side? There's a player out there that has history with Mike McDonald, has history with the Seattle Seahawks, and single-handedly took down the 49ers in one game, which was one of the more best individual performances I've ever seen as a Seattle Seahawk. So what do you think about maybe a potential reunion with Clowney? What do you think about bringing him back? Again, putting into the idea that we really don't know what we're going to get with Chenna. Do we have enough on the edges? Would you like to see Clowney back in Seattle with McDonald?
I don't know the way his time in Seattle. I don't. It's not some of the other former Seahawks where it's like, oh yeah, bring that dude back. Like Clowney had a little bit of success with the Ravens under Mike McDonald to where, okay, it's intriguing, but was it enough to where I would be pounding the table for it? I think based on age, I kind of like the idea that Chenna could come back and mix things up a little bit more because we haven't seen Chenna in the Mike McDonald defense either. So I'm kind of more excited knowing him, knowing about his 3-year history now in Seattle. Yes, it was injuries, but I kind of like him to bounce back more than paying a guy like Clowney to come in and see what he can do.
Just to bring the stats up, so you have them, and so the listeners have them, the viewers have them too. 2023, his 1 year with the Ravens, probably his best NFL season in a while there. He had 9.5 sacks. And, he had 9 in 2021 with the Browns. He had 9 in 2018 with Houston. And then he proceeded to have 3 with Seattle, which is interesting. But his last stint with McDonald, not too long ago, 9.5. Last year on a Panthers team that was not particularly good, he still had 5.5 sacks.
Yeah. He's just reached journeyman status to me to where I have those questions, and 5.5 sacks with Carolina last year. I don't know. Is Micah Parsons available?
Well, Parsons, funny you should ask, right? Obviously that would be, so Clowney, we could just sign. Clowney's out there. He's a free agent.
Right.
So it wouldn't cost anything besides whatever he signs for, which wouldn't be huge money. But he's still a name, and he still does produce some sacks. So he'll get
32 this year.
Yeah, 32 years old this year, which is crazy. So Parsons, at least the interesting part about Micah Parsons, yes, it would cost a song and a dance. Yes, he'd want probably an extension, and yes, he might be the next dude up, right? If Garrett got 40 and TJ Watt just got 41, this might be
Micah's probably going to get 41 and a half.
Right. This is the kind of guy that can get that next contract.
Yeah.
And I don't think he would sign for less. Why would he be like, no, you top the last guy. This is how this works. Well, they know how it works. With that, he did have some interesting things to say recently that he was just kind of showing some shine to say, basically out there saying, if I were to be traded, I would love to be back with with McDonald. Like, he really respects the Mike McDonald defense and knows, he
has the connection to Adam Dirty.
Exactly. Correct. Loves AD as the defensive coordinator. And, I think has just a lot of respect for the way I think Parsons looks at what McDonald would do with him and the way he would unleash him, be like, yeah, dude, that's the kind of place where it's like, oh God, you're bringing Micah Parsons, and you got like DeMarcus Lawrence, Hall, Mafe, and maybe you got to trade one of those trips. That just might be the way it goes. But then you still got Byron Murphy and Leo and Jaron Reed and Ernest Jones and Spoon, who could come down the box. Nightmare fuel for NFL teams, Brandon. But that is joyous for me. I mean, to me, how many first round picks we started with Jamal Adams. Let's finish here. How many first round picks would you give away for Micah Parsons? Let's say it's whatever that first rounders are, and you got to give away, let's say, Mafe or Hall.
Yeah, I think Mafe or Hall would have to be a part of it. You have to give up at least one first rounder. And gosh, I don't know if you're giving up 2, that's getting a little bit on the expensive side for me. Part of the reason for this is you're giving the Dallas Cowboys an out for having to pay the salary that they're going to have to pay. Maybe they can't afford that based on how their cap situation is. I don't know. The Cowboys are the weirdest organization for me because I look at how some operate, and they pay guys like some franchises. They'll pay guys early on in the offseason because they know it's not going to get any cheaper. The Cowboys wait until the last possible minute. Oftentimes, like I think that when the season actually starts, and it's a little bit baffling to me how they structure their salaries to why they feel like waiting is the better option. But maybe there's a method
Weird.
to their madness.
No, they're just bad at it. Them and the Bengals are terrible at this. So there's no method. They're done with that stuff. And then you have like the Eagles and other teams that get ahead of this and pay less for talent, which is kind of what we're talking about, right? For at least parts of the show. All right, Parsons.
I think 2 firsts is too much for me. I think what feels like the sweet spot is a first, one of our young pass rushers, and probably I would love it if it was a third, but a second probably you would have to do a second.
Sorry if you see my light dying on me. It's probably means it's time to go. I've been podcasting for a couple hours now. So Parsons, very quick. He's already 26 this year, so he's league age 26. He won't turn 27 until the start of next season. So he's got a whole year 26. 13 sacks, 13 and a half sacks, 14 sacks, 12 sacks in his 4 years in the NFL. This guy this is what he does. and he's damn good at it. So that would be a lot of fun. Brandon, I think will be a lot of fun also. Brandon, I'm still here.
Should I turn off my light too? We can do this last part.
If you want to get a little creepy, why not? Right? It's mood light. We got the mood light in here. That's my best Mo Sizzlack for those out there. But it's gonna be. We're landed where we started. Tomorrow, while you're watching it today, we're talking about the real start of the season, real football things to talk about as we're down to mood lighting in here.
And I think with that,
there's only one thing left to say.
Go Hawks.
Go. No lights. Go Hawks.